3 surprising things that happen when you get regular chemical peels, specifically over time. And if you want the benefits at home, what is and isn't a good idea. I love chemical peels, and I've spoken about my acne journey literally for the past 15 years. That's why this YouTube channel exists, and why I became a medical esthetician to understand skincare on myself and literally do skincare like chemical peels on other people. Well, chemical peels are one of the most underrated skincare treatments that you can get done professionally. And I wish that I knew about chemical peels back in high school when I was breaking out at my very worst. And I also wish that I did them more regularly over the past 10 years because of the benefits to not only active acne, but also for scarring and for fine lines and for wrinkles. Now, chemical peels that you do in clinic with an esthetician or a doctor or a derm who, yes, do chemical peels, even plastic surgeons do, those are very different than some of the things that we use over the counter. And I want you to be empowered with the information about chemical peels so that you know if they're right for you in clinic, what to do professionally versus at home, and some of these benefits that a lot of people didn't talk about. We know that chemical peels basically exfoliate the skin. They help to renew the skin from the inside out. They help with active acne, they help with fine lines, with wrinkles, and even with some pigmentation depending on your skin. Some chemical peels can make pigmentation worse, but that's why it's really good to see an expert, especially if you're doing anything professional. There are 3 main types of chemical peels. There are superficial chemical peels, medium depth chemical peels, and deep chemical peels. The superficial ones are things like TCA or even an intense use of some over-the-counter stuff, which is literally what I have on my face right now, the Ordinary's AHA BHA peeling solution. This is basically the best that you can get over the counter without an aesthetic license or a medical license. So good if you're brave enough to try this at home and do it correctly. Well, outside of superficial chemical peels that really work on the top layers of the skin, those first 5 layers of what's called the epidermis, there are the medium and deep chemical peels that go into the dermis, basically the thick part of our skin, the part where collagen and elastin are. And the medium depth chemical peels usually frost over. The skin literally looks like it has snow on it. And the deep chemical peels, oh, they are deep. They take months to fully recover from. And there are even some chemical peels, like a phenol peel, where your heart rate needs to be monitored because it can be such an intense and painful experience. Now, obviously, a superficial peel is going to be very different from something like a deep peel, but there are some benefits that, especially if you do chemical peels professionally long-term, you can see. And I want to share some of those with you because I wish that I had known about these things earlier, and I also wish that I could have started taking advantage of them sooner than I did. So the first thing that a lot of people don't realize with chemical peels is that your skin actually becomes thicker. Literally, the dermis, the deep part of your skin where collagen and elastin is, it becomes thicker. And people get so shocked by that when they learn it because it's like, wait a minute, aren't chemical peels exfoliating the outside of the skin? Like my skin peels off and it sloughs off? Yes, but over time in those deep layers, chemical peels actually promote what's called skin cell turnover, and they promote collagen and elastin growth. Collagen is the strong stuff and elastin is the stretchy stuff. And over time, it actually makes the inside of our skin thicker. This is fantastic for fine lines, for wrinkles, and for scarring, among many other skin benefits. But a lot of people don't realize that that is happening. We actually have medical data and studies to show this. If you actually look, this is a biopsy. They basically took a piece of skin, and you can see some of these histology, otherwise called microscope slides of actual skin. Look at how thick the skin has become after chemical peels. And imagine this over time. For best results, a lot of people choose to get a chemical peel once every 6 months, so about twice a year. And for the people that do that and come in regularly, you can see a huge difference. Of course, chemical peels aren't for everyone, and as we discussed, there's many different types, and of course there are the professional ones versus things you can use at home. But if you want thicker skin from the inside out, chemical peels are a great way to kind of boost that up. And retinoids, just like this one, the Future formula, this is a great way to thicken the skin every single day, little by little at home. If you want like an ultimate guide to skin thickening, everything from retinoids every day to chemical peels twice a year to sun protection to protect what you're doing, that's basically the formula. Now that actually leads into the next thing we need to talk about, which is acne scarring. A lot of people don't realize that chemical peels can help with acne scars, specifically what's called the box or ice pick scars, the ones that go into the skin from chickenpox or from acne. A lot of people don't know that chemical peels can help with scars. And you see, the thing about scars is that they are so hard to treat that there aren't a lot of good treatments. Maybe lasers, maybe microneedling, but chemical peels. And chemical peels aren't going to work for everyone's scars. You know, keloid scars are very different. They're raised and thickened, and they can be irritated easily, unlike something like a pushed in or depressed acne scar or chickenpox scar. But if you do have those scars that are kind of pushed into the skin, chemical peels can be a great way to resurface those. And the reason is the same same one we just talked about. It's because the inside of the skin actually becomes thicker. Now, in order to understand scars, I want you to think of your skin as like a basket, right? Imagine a basket that's kind of woven and it's beautifully put together. That's your skin structure. Now, when you have a wound or acne, it kind of rips that apart. Now, the skin tries to grow back together, but it can never fully replicate that little basket weave. It tries to do its best, but it kind of just ends up not being just right. And that's what causes a scar. Sometimes they push up and sometimes they pull down. But because of that and how it's happening in the skin, it's really hard to treat, especially over the counter. But things such as chemical peels done professionally and over time, specifically over a few years, or regular chemical peels done at home through the form of weekly exfoliation, that can really help. And I honestly attribute a lot of my acne scar success to chemical peels. I've been doing chemical peels as a medical esthetician ever since I learned how in 2009. And because of that, I was able to constantly reapply these and get benefit that I didn't even realize was helping with my acne scars. I struggled with horrible acne. My skin should be much more scarred than it is. But I do think it's things like some of these over-the-counter things or professional chemical peels that have really helped out a lot. Fun fact, yes, you can also do chemical peels on other areas of the body, like the back. I did a TCA peel, which is a superficial peel with Face Realities products. So good. And so good for body acne and body acne scars. But something else that people don't realize about chemical peels is that for some people, it can actually make their skin less sensitive over time. Now, let's back up for a second because this is a big one and there's a lot of nuance to it. Specifically because you're like, wait a minute, sensitive skin becomes less sensitive. Should everyone with sensitive skin go get a chemical peel? Hold your horses. People who have naturally sensitive skin need to be more careful with chemical peels from the get-go. Again, you should use things over the counter, get your skin prepared before you go in professionally. And when you go in professionally, ask the pro if they've done sensitive skin before. You want to start off superficial and be very gentle. And after the chemical peel, your skin will actually be more sensitive. The protocol for post-chemical peel is literally hydration and avoid the sun at all costs. Avoid fragrances, avoid irritants, avoid colors and dyes, keep it simple. And you're like, wait a minute, if when I'm done with my chemical peel, my skin is even more sensitive for a period of time until it heals, how is this supposed to help sensitivity overall? Well, here's a little anecdotal secret that I've personally seen and many other people have as well. When someone gets regular chemical peels over time and they have sensitive skin, that chemical peel process is actually thickening the skin, right? That thickening of the skin, adding collagen and elastin and exposing the skin to this irritant multiple times and allowing it to fully heal, it actually equips the skin to have that stronger dermis, to be thicker, to rebuild itself faster because it's done it a few times before. And over time, the skin can actually become more resilient and therefore less sensitive. Now, obviously this happens over a couple of years of regular chemical peels. If you are sensitive, you want to do something like a superficial peel. Those are usually done like every month or so like every 4 to 6 weeks, and you come back for regular ones. But personally, when I've done these on other people, I've noticed that for some people, not all, but for some who started super sensitive, their skin gets more resilient over time. And for other people who have done this, either for their clients and their patients or as clients and patients, they're like, holy crap, this has actually made my skin less sensitive to the stuff I use at home over time. Obviously, chemical peels are not going to remove like a fragrance allergy. If you have a fragrance allergy or you're irritated by a certain ingredient, this is not going to fix it. But for some people who are overly sensitive, they have found chemical peels to help. And this comes with huge stars and asterisks because not everyone who uses chemical peels regularly is going to have less sensitive skin over time. And again, you're going to be more sensitive when you're done. And I actually don't know of any medical studies or data that shows less sensitivity over time. All I know is anecdotal or kind of word of mouth evidence, right? Things that I've seen, things that I've witnessed, or things that other people in the industry have witnessed and spoken about. So take that last one with a grain of salt, but for some people, it really does help with their skin sensitivity overall. And I would assume that it's for the same reason that chemical peels help with acne scarring. It's because of that thickness inside of the skin and this repeated exposure to something that is literally caustic, like it's literally frosting and like burning your skin off, and then telling your skin to build itself back better. But overall, a lot of people have seen tons of benefit when doing chemical peels professionally. Gosh, take a shot of iced coffee every time I say chemical peels, okay? Sheesh. Now, if you do want to do chemical peels at home, they are going to be very different than something in clinic. Obviously, your skin is not going to frost with anything at home. And there are different strengths of chemical peels and different brands that are better for certain skin types. These are not going to make your skin frost, and they should not make your skin peel or slough off. But these can be really helpful if you don't want to go in clinic or you can't afford it, but you still want the benefits, or you're looking for something that can help you exfoliate about weekly, or if you're building up to doing a chemical peel professionally for the first time. One of my favorites that I love, which is is the most potent, and the one I've got in my face right now, is the Ordinary's AHA BHA peeling solution. If you've not seen the video on how to use this properly and how to not get burnt by it, we've done an entire YouTube video on it, but this is under 10 bucks, one of the most potent, but one of my favorites. Now, what if you don't want something as potent, but you still want something that works well, but you're a little bit more prone to pigmentation, dark spots or marks, or you have melasma, and you're worried about using something as intense as this because you're a skintellectual. You know that certain chemical peels can make hyperpigmentation worse if not done properly. One of the best ones is this one from Minimalist. It's made by two brothers in India, and it's literally made with AHA acids, BHA acids, but also PHA, polyhydroxy acids. These are huge sugar-like molecules that really sit on top of the skin, and they're much more gentle. And this also has ingredients that are hyperpigmentation friendly. So if you do tend to have like brown or dark marks after acne, if your skin tends to have uneven tone, melasma, or you're scarred, obviously see a professional to get that diagnosed first. But this is a really good one for those who are more prone to pigmentation, but still want to use a chemical peel at home or want to do like weekly exfoliation. If you're super sensitive and you don't know where to start and you're like, Cassandra, I need to work my way up to doing something professional if I do something in clinic at all, this is brand new from Dermalogica that is new to my routine. I just tried this a couple times and it's actually really good. This is the Dermalogica Liquid Peelfoliant, and this is a 15% AHA and BHA, so it's half the strength of this. But this also has that PHA, those polyhydroxy acids. This has some fruit enzymes, and then it's also got tranexamic acid, which is an anti-pigmentation ingredient. It helps with pigment in the skin. So if you're struggling with pigmentation and you think even this is a little bit too much for you, this might be a great option. This also has ceramides in it, so it helps to even out the skin tone, but then it hydrates. And I've never seen a peel like this. When I first got this, I thought that it was gonna be like the Ordinary's AHA BHA peel. Like I thought Dermalogica was coming for the Ordinary's throne, but then when I tried it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so gentle. And then as I've used it a little bit more, I'm like, oh, they say on the bottle that you can exfoliate daily with this. I kind of agree, but if you're super sensitive, try this once a week. This might be a sensitive skin's best exfoliant. And I was really impressed by this. And also the texture, it's fragrance free, so it's good for those who are more irritant prone. But the texture of this is almost like strawberries that you put in a blender. It's really silky on the skin and I really liked it. But whether you do them at home or professionally, you need to be regular. Remember that skincare is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And obviously if you do stuff at home, even regularly, it's not gonna be the same as a superficial chemical peel or a medium or definitely not a deep chemical peel. And there's a reason that you have to see a licensed professional to get these done. But I've left some medical studies that if you're a real skintellectual, you're a real skincare nerd, you might wanna read because they are fascinating on how chemical peels can help the skin. And chemical peels have been around forever, but the reason they're still here is because they work. Relatively inexpensive, you can get them done by a pro, or again, there are options at home. Regardless of what you do, always remember to stay hydrated and reapply that SPF. Holy the chemical peel privilege is lost, okay? If you don't apply SPF every day, you should not be using chemical peels, and everyone loses their chemical peel privileges if they don't use SPF every day, okay? Mama Cass said it. So reapply that SPF and always be beautiful both inside and out. I love you, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.